Hi, welcome to our channel of IGNOU Audiobooks, Indira Gandhi National Open University School of Gender and Development Studies, SOGDS. MA in Gender and Development Studies, marked. Second year. MJSE 00 to Gender Audit and Gender Budgeting. Block 1 Genesis of Gender Budgeting, Global Scenario and Indian Initiatives. Unit 6 Women Component Plan and Gender Budgeting. 6.1 Introduction. In 1947, India not only attained independence from foreign rule but also began its journey as a sovereign state in deciding its own fate politically as well as economically. Keeping with the needs of the time, the leaders decided to focus on a planning process that was essentially centralized. The immediate objectives were to facilitate reconstruction of an economy that was utilized primarily for drain of wealth by foreign rulers and to help build a self-reliant economy based on industrial and agricultural growth. It is with these ideas that five-year planning by the Center for the Whole of India was started, and institutions such as Planning Commission and Finance Commission were set up. Over the years, the planning process has been decentralized to make it more inclusive of the various regional and local issues. This, however, had not been able to make the planning process participatory enough to embrace the real needs of various sections of the Indian population. Understanding this, the Government of India has made a number of efforts such as gender budgeting to make the planning process more inclusive. 6.2 Objectives. After studying this unit, you would be able to examine the budgeting process and problems in India since independence. Explain the gender budgeting mission statement of Government of India. Discuss women component plan and analyze the state of Kerala experience on women component plan. 6.3 Problems of the budget planning process in India. The entire process of budget preparation, presentation before the two houses of the Indian Parliament, enactment of the budget and subsequent process of periodic reviews happen behind closed doors. General public are kept away from the processes that go on inside the Finance Ministry and the legislature. This also extends to the way budget priorities are decided keeping in view the social and economic necessities. This blocks the road for any kind of public participation in the budgetary process. Neither various sections of the population are consulted about what needs to be their priorities nor do people have any knowledge of what the budget would mean for their own pocket. What also needs to be discussed is that planning process in India, especially budget planning, is not an apolitical process. It involves the political ideologies of the ruling party and the dominant sections whose interests the ruling party favors. Thus, decisions about how much to be allocated under which head are primarily decided by the finance ministry in accordance with the political ideology of his party or coalition and the interest of the dominant groups. It is this critical approach towards the development planning that has resulted in various sections of the society demanding for inclusion of their interests in the budget. In this sense, gender budgeting could be seen as the consequence of a long struggle by women in India to make space for women in each area that the government deals with. 6.4 How it all started. In independent India, the report of the Committee on the Status of Women in India, 1974, had for the first time looked at the public expenditure from women's perspective. It clearly pointed towards negative effects of development planning on women. While this generated awareness in India to understand women's needs in development planning, it was in the 7th five-year plan that recommendations were made for a mechanism to identify and monitor schemes that directly benefited women. In 1986, the Department of Women and Child Development was entrusted the responsibility of monitoring 27 beneficiary-oriented schemes under various sectors which directly benefited women. In the ninth five-year plan, 1997 to 2002, a clear, unconditional minimum quantum of funds benefits were allotted for women in the schemes run by all ministries' departments. As per the plan, both central as well as state governments were required to ensure that not less than 30% of the funds benefits are earmarked for women under the various schemes of the women-related ministries' departments. The 10th five-year plan, 2002-7, pointed towards another noteworthy step forward as it called for immediate action in tying up these two effective concepts of WCP and gender budgeting to play a complementary role to each other and thus ensure both preventive and post facto action in enabling women to receive their rightful share from all the women-related general development sectors. The need for taking up gender budgeting was also recognized in the National Policy for the Empowerment of Women, 2001, which observed availability of adequate financial, human and market resources to implement the policy will be managed by concerned departments and that this process will include, among other initiatives, assessment of benefits flowing to women and resource allocation to the programs relating to them through an exercise of gender budgeting. All this resulted in the Department of Women and Child Development leading the initiative for gender budgeting at the level of central government. One of the important initiatives towards this was the commissioning of a gender budgeting study to the National Institute of Public Finance and Policy, NIPFP. This resulted in a spurt of activities relating to gender budgeting. For example, the Economic Survey for 2001 included a section of gender inequality in the chapter on social sector. The annual reports of the Department of Women and Child Development started giving space to the gender budget analysis of the Union Budget by NIPFP. In the Union Budget for the year 2005-6, a separate statement on gender budgeting was included for the first time that covered the budget allocations under 10 demands for grants. The next year's budget, 2006-7, carried forward the new tradition by increasing the number of demands for grants to 24 that covered 18 ministries and departments of the central government. This has been followed by the Department of Women and Child Development conducting workshops on gender budgeting at the national and state levels. There have also been initiatives to push for operationalizing the gender budget cells in the central government ministries and departments. In the Outcome Budget 2006-7 it was reported that of the Ministry of Women and Child Development, gender budget cells have been set up in 40 central ministries with a view to keep focus on the flow of funds in relation to women and to improve gender sensitivity of the programs and schemes. This brings us to a point where we need to discuss what has gender budgeting meant for the government agencies. In the initial years, gender budgeting was primarily seen as a statistical exercise that sought to establish a substantial amount of resources allocated for women in the union and state budgets. However, gender budgeting today is being perceived as a mandate to examine various aspects of the budget from a gender perspective. This includes public policies, fiscal and monetary, trade and tariffs, etc. Budgetary allocations for various sectors and sections of the economy for example, allocation in the social sector for education, health, etc. Content and direction of various schemes and programs, reservation of benefits for women in food for work, implementation of various schemes and projects and incidence of benefit, achievement of targets, public expenditure and impact on macro indicators like literacy, participation in workforce, maternal mortality rate, etc. While the Constitution of India treats women and men equally, women in India are yet to get their rightful share in various spheres of life. Gender budgeting is one of the most important steps taken by the Indian state to give Indian women their due share. As the term suggests, gender budgeting implies planning for development with an eye on gender differences. Taking gender seriously means looking at the fact that men and women have different needs owing to the differences in their social roles and responsibilities. At the national level, this implies recognizing women as sensitive and vulnerable positions that lead to specific kinds of economic and social needs. This necessitates a planning process and a planning exercise that acknowledges the differential needs of women and allocates funds for that. This is variously called as gender budgeting, gender-sensitive budgeting, gender-responsive budgeting, and as women-s budgets. Thus, gender budgeting is a dissection of the government budget to establish its gender differential impacts and to translate gender commitments into budgetary commitments. Gender budgeting looks at the government budget from a gender perspective to assess how it addresses the needs of women in the areas like health, education, employment, etc. In this sense, gender budgeting is not merely a accounting exercise but is a perspective. Gender budgeting calculates the share of women in national funds, assesses the impact of government programs on women, allocation of funds for women-specific schemes and programs, gender audit of budget. It is not a negative action in the sense that it does not mean that men should be kept away from budget. It also does not mean that there should be a separate budget for women. Rather, it should be seen as an affirmative action that aims at addressing specific needs of women and thereby making the budgetary exercise a national document that does justice to all its citizens. The Ministry of Women and Child Development has adopted budgeting for gender equity as the mission statement for this initiative and has drawn up a broad framework of activities that would constitute action areas for gender mainstreaming. 6.5 Mission Statement, Budgeting for Gender Equity. The mission statement clearly spells out the following broad framework with regard to gender budgeting. Broad framework of activities. Quantification of allocation of resources for women in the union, states and local administration budgets and expenditure thereof. Refining and standardizing methodology and development of tools. Trend analysis. Analysis of change in pattern, shift in priorities in allocation across clusters of services, etc. Variations in allocation of resources and actual expenditure. Adherence to physical targets. Gender audit of policies of the government, monetary, fiscal, trade, etc. At the center and state levels. Research and micro-studies to guide macro policies like credit policy, taxes, etc. Identification of gender impact of policies, interventions viewed as gender neutral. Micro-studies to identify need for affirmative action in favor of women towards correcting gender imbalances. Impact assessment of various schemes in the union and state budgets. Micro-studies on incidence of benefits. Analyzing programs, strategies, interventions and policy initiatives from the perspective of their impact on status of women, as reflected in important macro indicators like literacy, MMR. Participation in workforce X analysis of substance and content of various interventions directed at health of women and correlate the same with indicator like MMR to establish need for corrective action and formulation of scheme approach. Institutionalizing the generation and collection of gender disaggregated data. Developing MIS for feedback from implementing agencies. Inclusion of new parameters in data collection in census and surveys by NSO, CSO, etc. Consultations and capacity building. Collation of research and exchange of best practices. Developing methodologies and tools for dissemination. Forums and partnerships amongst experts and stakeholders. Review of decision-making processes to establish gender equity in participation. Review of extent participation of women in decision-making processes and to establish processes and models aimed at gender equity in decision-making and greater participation of women. Formulation and reflection of satellite accounts to capture the contribution of women to the economy by way of their activities in areas that go unreported like care economy, unpaid work in rearing domestic animals, etc. Box 6.1. Mission Statement, Budgeting for Gender Equity. Kind Attan. Clarification regarding use of Women Component Plan. Wide Letter No. PCSW 1-3, 1309 WCD, dated 5th January 2010. Planning Commission, Government of India, has stated that the concepts of Women Component Plan and gender budgeting are not complementary but often contradictory, and the world over countries have moved to using gender-responsive budgeting as a tool for gender mainstreaming and ensuring gender equity, and has clarified that Women Component Plan should no longer be used as a strategy either at the center or at the state level. In its place as already initiated by the Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Women and Child Development, we should adopt gender-responsive budgeting or gender budgeting only. Box 6.2 Women's Component Plan and Gender Budgeting in India. The notion of WCP had entered the planning process in the 7th plan with the initiation of a special mechanism to monitor 27 beneficiary-oriented schemes for women. However, the 9th five-year plan, 1997 to 2002, marked a significant progress in this regard. The notion of WCP, as it was adopted in the 9th plan, earmarked a clear, unconditional minimum quantum of funds benefits for women in the schemes run by all ministries' departments that were perceived to be women-related, and thereby recognized that prioritizing financial resources for programs schemes for women is critical for women's empowerment. Under WCP, both central as well as state governments were required to ensure that not less than 30% of the funds benefits are earmarked for women under the various schemes of the women-related ministries' departments. There is no explanation, however, on how the Planning Commission arrived at this particular figure of 30% under the WCP, at least not in any of the government reports documents available in the public domain. The notion of WCP was a precursor to the adoption of gender budgeting, which represents a much broader and profound approach towards ensuring gender-responsive budgets and public policies. Gender budgeting is widely regarded as an approach of looking at the budget formulation process, budgetary policies and budget allocations, and implementation of those policies from the gender lens. Gender budget, with regard to the central government or any state, does not refer to a separate budget for women, rather it is an analytical tool which scrutinizes the government budget to reveal its gender differentiated impact and advocate for greater priorities for programs schemes directly benefiting women and better implementation of such programs schemes. Gender budgeting is concerned not only with public expenditures but also with the gender differentiated impact of revenue mobilization by the government. In fact, gender budgeting, as an approach, is not confined to budgets alone, rather, it covers analyzing various economic policies from the gender perspective. On the other hand, the domain of WCP is restricted only to plan allocations by the ministry's departments, and WCP provides a benchmark to assess the performance of ministries' departments in prioritizing plan resources for schemes which benefit women. However, information on implementation of WCP by the various ministries' departments can play an important role in operationalizing gender budgeting, depending on the methodology adopted for the latter. The 10th Five-Year Plan, 2002-7, marked another significant step forward as it envisaged immediate action in tying up these two effective concepts of WCP and gender budgeting to play a complementary role to each other and thus ensure both preventive and post facto action in enabling women to receive their rightful share from all the women related general development sectors. The need for taking up gender budgeting was also recognized in the National Policy for the Empowerment of Women, 2001, which observed availability of adequate financial, human and market resources to implement the policy will be managed by concerned departments and that this process will include, among other initiatives, assessment of benefits flowing to women and resource allocation to the programs relating to them through an exercise of gender budgeting. In this scenario, the DWCD led the initiative for gender budgeting at the level of central government, an important element of which was the commissioning of a gender budgeting study to the National Institute of Public Finance and Policy, NIPFP. In the Economic Survey for 2001, for the first time a separate section on gender inequality was included in the chapter on social sector. Subsequently, the gender budget analysis of union budgets done by the NIPFP was incorporated in the annual reports of the DWCD. Later on, in the union budget for 2005-6, a separate statement on gender budgeting was included for the first time, which covered the budget allocations under 10 demands for grants. Union budget for 2006-7 took this exercise forward as it presented a gender budgeting statement covering 24 demands for grants under 18 ministries departments of the central government. Over the last couple of years, the DWCD has also conducted workshops on gender budgeting at the national and state levels and pushed for operationalizing gender budget cells in the central government ministries departments. In fact, as reported in the Outcome Budget 2006-7 of the Ministry of Women and Child Development, gender budget cells have been set up in 40 central ministries with the primary objective of focusing on flow of funds and benefits to women and to improve the gender sensitivity of the programs and schemes. Implementation of Women's Component Plan. The information compiled by the Planning Commission on implementation of WCP by the central ministries during the 9th and 10th Five-Year Plans presents a rather disturbing picture. Report of the Steering Committee on Empowerment of Women and Development of Children for the 10th Five-Year Plan, 2002-7, brought out by Planning Commission in October 2001, henceforth referred to as the Steering Committee. Report indicated that the departments had in most cases included the figures for women specific schemes as the WCP inputs, while some departments had declared that their schemes were gender neutral. This report stated that although 12 central ministries, departments, and 4 state governments had confirmed their efforts to implement WCP, it had not been possible to precisely quantify allocations under WCP. Based on its perusal of the implementation of WCP during the 9th plan period, the Steering Committee report had stressed that the concept of the Women's component plan must not be abandoned or weakened merely because it was not operationalized effectively. It is worthwhile to take note of the figures reported in the 10th five-year plan document with regard to the magnitude of plan allocations by central ministries flowing to their WCP during the 9th plan period, 1997 to 2002. The information presented in the 10th plan document, Chapter 2.11 Women and Children, page 227. 10th five-year plan, in this regard indicated that the total magnitude of plan allocations flowing to WCP from DWCD, shown as the only women-specific department, and 15 other women-related ministries departments, which included health, family welfare, education, labor, rural development, etc., of the central government constituted as 51,942.5 crore, which was 25.5% of the gross budgetary support, GBS, of the central government for the 9th plan. The allocations under WCP as a proportion of GBS of the Ministry Department for the entire 9th plan period in the above-mentioned data was as high as 70% for Department of Family Welfare, 50.4% for Department of Health, and 50% for Department of Indian Systems of Medicine and Homeopathy. However, the methodology through which these figures were obtained has not been put in the public domain. It is not clear whether these departments undertook benefit incidence analysis to arrive at the figures for their respective WCPs. Moreover, the entire GBS of DWCD for the 9th plan, at Rs. 7,810.4 crore, was shown as its flow to WCP for the 9th plan. It is worthwhile to note here that Steering Committee report, October 2001, had observed that the share of women-specific programs constitute a fraction of the total fund allotted to the DWCD. During the financial year 2001, out of the total expenditure of Rs. 1,335.9 crore in the department, expenditure on women-specific programs was only Rs. 115.7 crores. This constituted a meager 8.57%. Also, the 10th plan document, in Chapter 2.11 Women and Children, page 253, observed that the 10th plan also takes note of the overriding priority given to the programs of child development and the resultant intra-budgetary imbalances that exist today within the budget of the nodal Department of Women and Child Development and suggests to rectify the same through a much more balanced distribution of resources between empowerment of women and development of children, the two major responsibilities entrusted to it. Thus, we find that the Planning Commission's assessment presented in the 10th plan document seems to have overestimated the plan resources actually flown to WCP by the central ministries during the 9th plan. However, the picture with regard to implementation of WCP during the 10th plan, as it emerges from the Planning Commission's midterm appraisal of the 10th five-year plan, 2002-7, is even worse. The midterm appraisal of the 10th plan, henceforth, MTA, brought out in 2005, stated that most of the ministries and departments designated as women-related have not separately provided the Women S component and hence cannot be evaluated on their WCP. The MTA reported that while the Department of Education had confirmed a flow of funds of 42.37% of its gross budgetary support to the WCP during the 10th plan years, the Ministry of Labour, which had earlier reported a flow of 33.5% of its GBS to the WCP in 9th plan, reported a flow of only 5% of its GBS to the WCP in the first 3 years of the 10th plan. The MTA also revealed that the ministry's departments of Agriculture and Cooperation, Urban Employment and Poverty Alleviation, Science and Technology, Biotechnology, Information and Broadcasting, Non-Conventional Energy Sources and Small-Scale and Agro-related Industries, which had earlier reported on the WCP in their sectoral budgets, had stopped doing so during the 10th plan years. Source: Subrat Das, Yamini Mishra, Yojana, Vol. 50, October 2006, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Government of India. 6.6 Women Component Plan, a paradigm shift. The Women Component Plan is a strategy articulated in the 9th Plan and is central to the 10th Plan. The states have been directed to adopt Women Component Plan, through which not less than 30% funds benefits have to be earmarked in all women-related sectors. The feedback from researchers as also the gaps in data received indicated that almost all departments included in the study, with an exception of a few, were unable to provide the exact amount earmarked as a share of Women Component Plan out of the total budget of that department. The accounting, auditing, and record-keeping procedures did not have these disaggregated allocations. It was informed that whenever required, these figures are worked out on an ad hoc basis in line with the requirements. The Department of Women and Child Development may like to take up the above matter with the state governments and direct these identified departments to generate information for Women Component Plan. Pro-women schemes provide services both to men and women. Therefore, unless gender-segregated data is maintained for physical and performance targets, it would not be possible to ascertain the extent of resources inflow for women. NIPCD Report, 2002. 6.7 Experiences from Kerala. In 1994, the Kerala Panchayati Raj Act came into being. Since 1996, the Kerala government initiated the decentralized planning process and 35 to 40% of plan funds were devolved to local governments with a mandate to identify locally specific needs, mobilize resources, plan and implement programs suited to each area locality. By transferring powers, responsibilities and by devolving finances to the three-tier Panchayati Raj institutions, PRIs, Kerala has been able to transform them into real institutions of local governance. As a part of decentralized planning which was initiated in 1996, several steps were taken to ensure gender equity, Sakhi, 2006. They are: participatory study of the status of women in each area was made mandatory as a step to understand local specific issues of women and subsequent planning of relevant projects. Working group on women was initiated to formulate projects for women. It was directed to ensure women's representation should be there in all sector-wise working groups. Attempts were made to improve women's participation in the Gram Sabha and focus on issues of women in discussions. 50% representation of women was ensured in the sub-committees formed in the Gram Sabha. Out of the 2 representatives in each subject group in the Gram Sabha, one had to be a woman. A chapter on women was mandatory in the report prepared on Perspective on Development for the local body and also in plan document. It was directed that in general projects special consideration be given for women. It was mandated that at least 10% of funds be allocated for the Women-S Component Plan, WCP, Women-S Component Plan is given priority in the decentralized planning process in Kerala. The WCP aims to provide a mechanism for special activities to ensure gender equity in the society and within the family. At least 10% of the plan budget is mandated to be set apart to meet the specific needs of women. Short and long-term strategic needs of women can be addressed through the WCP to ensure the overall empowerment of women. It aims at promoting gender-related development exclusively to the women. This was considered more effective as they yield benefits to the women and children and to the community at large. The money earmarked for WCP is utilized by the local bodies to prepare projects that directly benefit women. It differs from what has been attempted till now on the following points. The basic concept underlying WCP is that women development is not just providing income and employment opportunities but also better health, education, physical environment, human dignity, freedom, etc. Though broad parameters are laid down regarding the type of projects to be formulated, the local bodies have the freedom to formulate location and need-specific projects based on the felt needs of the women. Participation of women is ensured in all spheres of activities, be it in expressing opinion, formulating project proposals, monitoring, or implementation. They were to be treated not as mere beneficiaries but partners in the development process. The local bodies were asked to set apart 10% of the grantinate for WCP. Thus, the funds at the disposal of the local bodies for women development was uniform and it was not based on the percentage of women below the poverty line. The local bodies has the freedom to increase the percentage or integrate it with its own funds while preparing projects. The review of the last decade of the WCP in the decentralized plan process in Kerala reveals the basic needs for women have been recognized and met at the local government level. Bhavakan, Umman John, Leela Kumari, 2001. Projects to improve women's income and to enhance the status of women through adoption of non-traditional projects have been carried out in some areas. Before planning through WCP gender planning, gender budgeting and gender auditing methodology was sorted out by the decentralized governance different sectors, namely production sector, services sector, health sector, etc. 6.8 Summary. In this unit, we have traced the planning process in the independent India and how they emphasize started to include women in the development agenda. Not only tracing the planning process, the unit also gave importance to the few 5-year plan where they focus is on women. The unit has given special emphasis to women component plan and the concept was explained with the help of Government of Kerala initiative.